Today, we will be looking at the famous UK rapper named Fredo and look at his life up until now. This is the story of Fredo. Marvin William Bailey, also known as Fredo, was born on the 6th of March 1994 in West London to an English Moroccan mother and to a Barbados father. Fredo is from the Mozart estate in West London, which is known for its high crime rate and drug abuse in the area. Back in the day, in the 2000s, Mozart estate was a place which people were scared to go to, as there was reports of the Mozart gang kidnapping people who they didn't like. Shootings were taking place in the area with drive-bys happening, and the high rate of drugs being sold in the area. This made the Mozart estate area a place where no one wanted to be, as they were afraid what could happen to them. As Fredo grew up, he would be interested in basketball, and many people from his school said he was very good at basketball. But as time went on, Fredo's dad wouldn't be in the picture for his life that much, and due to him having siblings and his mum struggling to pay the rent for his house and clothes, he knew he had to do something about it. Fredo would start misbehaving at the age of 10 and hanging out with the wrong people, which made his mum move him out of London to Hertfordshire, but was the same out there, and by the age of 13, his mum would bring him back to Mozart estate, and at this point, Fredo would be out on the block all day, hustling, trying to make his money, and would start to make friends who he would call as family, such as Capo, Sav, Mello, G-Dots, Amro, Mouth, Billy the Kid, and many more. He would start to get involved with the gang known as HRB, who call themselves the Harrow Road Boys, and would be introduced on how to do more than sell drugs by Ruggie and Ratlin, who he looked up to in the gang. The HRB gang rivals are Ladbroke Grove, South Kilburn, Stonebridge, who also have a famous rapper in their group known as K Coke, but we won't speak about him in this video, and many more rivals. Fredo would begin stealing phones and taking anything that he wanted. Fredo would always be missing at the age of 14, going country and not coming back to home for days, and by the time Fredo was 15, he would be deep involved in the streets and wouldn't care about school anymore, and would always lie to his mum saying he would be going to school, but instead skip school and trap. Fredo would also be inspired by another member of the gang, Boss Belly, who was making songs at the time and putting Mozart estate on the map, and was making a lot of money, and in a few of his videos, you can see a young teenager Fredo in it. Fredo would start to learn the ways more and more about the street life, but unfortunately for Fredo, when he was 16, he would be chilling outside his local corner shop with his two friends selling drugs, when undercover police would pull up in a car and quickly grab Fredo, and his two friends would escape. Fredo would be arrested and sentenced to a year in youth jail, and would end up missing his GCSE exams. 1 year later, Fredo would be out of jail and would go back to what he knew best, as he didn't have no other choice. Fredo would be 17 at this point, and would start to make money in the streets with him, even saying in a track, "I had 10 when I was 17, yeah, the whole hood remembers me." Fredo mum would end up kicking him out of the house, as police were always knocking on the door, and his mum would find drugs in his drawer, which led to him having to sleep on the crackhead sofa, and with his aunt, who would always try to steal his drugs due to her having a drug addiction. Unfortunately for Fredo, on the 27th March of 2009, just weeks after Fredo turned 17, his close friend Amro would be stabbed in the neck and be pronounced dead 1 hour later. Amro El Badawi, who was 14 at the time, was coming home from school with his friend Yusuf Drissi, who was 16 at the time, when witnesses said Drissi pulled out a small kitchen knife and was stabbing Amro on the leg as a joke, but not actually connecting. Amro would go home and grab a knife and come back, and witnesses said the defendant and Amro were both carrying knives and were jabbing at each other with the knives, but not connecting. Amro began chasing Drissi down the street, and when he caught up with him, Drissi dealt a fatal blow to his friend's neck with the knife by accident. The stab wound passed through a major artery and punctured Amro's lung. Amro killer would be sentenced to 2 years for manslaughter in youth jail. Amro would be pronounced dead 1 hour later. Rest in peace, Amro. This was the first heartbreak for Fredo in the street life, as one of his close friends would be killed. At this point, Fredo would lose emotion and start dedicating his life to the streets more. As years went by, Boss Belly would be arrested when Fredo was a teenager and when he came out of jail. Fredo and his friends would all be grown and not be the young G's they once were on the block. And because of this would make Boss Belly angry, which would cause an altercation, as Boss Belly would start to say Fredo's boy mouth was a rat. This would make Boss Belly being kicked out of the group, and as years went by, Fredo would talk about the issue with Boss Belly on his Instagram saying this. Boss Belly would reply to his comment saying this: "These two have beef with each and do not like each other, and I don't think the situation would be resolved anytime soon." In 2012, Fredo would be 18 at this point, and everything would be going good for him, as he was making money when one day he got a call that his close friend G. Dots had got into a car accident and passed away. The 15-year-old, named by family and friends as Giorgio Tyson, was pronounced dead at the scene at the junction of Brondesbury Park and Honeyman Close in Brent at 12:30 a.m. on Friday. At this point, Fredo has already lost two of his close friends at the age of 18. As years went by, life would be normal for him and going good, when in 2016 he would decide to start rapping, as he said the reason he started making music was because the Ops made a diss track. In 2016, the 1st of March, Fredo would drop his first song being They Ain't 100, and Fredo didn't think of being a rapper or this song would blow up, and as of 2024, it currently sits on 35 million views, and this would be the day Fredo would enter the music scene. Fredo would then be arrested a week later after he dropped his first song for stabbing-related charges, which would later be dropped.
I was in there, I never heard it, never realised, and then I must have come home after 2 months. They must have realised I'm innocent. And then I'm going to a petrol station way out of London, and I've gone in there, I've gone to just give him the money, one young guy, and then he's like, "Yo, Fredo, like, when's your crib sessions out?" I couldn't even believe it, you know? I was like, "Oh my Lord, for real, it's like that." And then yeah, just obviously that was like the day I come home. Then obviously the next day, I'm seeing people recognizing me, and I realized that raw. Then it had 1 million views, and then 2, and then yeah, that was last summer. That was just literally just when I came home, Wireless main stage. That was the first time I performed with Wester. Big up Wester. Before we were there in front of all the thousands of people, and they knew my song. And yeah, it was mad.
The same following year, Fredo would be attacked in Harrow Road and would be stabbed multiple times by a member of CGM called CJ at around 7:30 p.m. Fredo would end up in hospital and make a speedy recovery, and days later, a member of HRB named K Kid would get revenge for Fredo by stabbing CJ in the eye. As years went by, Fredo would continue to drop more music and start taking music more seriously, with him doing shows and dropping projects for his fans. But in 2020, on the 16th of July, Fredo's close friend Billy the Kid would ride out to Stonebridge to get revenge for the killing of his friend, who had been stabbed to death hours prior. Many hours later, Billy would ride out to Stonebridge with 3 other associates to an event they were doing, and when they pulled up in a stolen vehicle to Stonebridge, and as soon as they arrived to the party, shots started going off from Stonebridge members towards Billy and his group, and didn't expect them to have guns on them. Billy would be shot twice in the back, which left him for dead on the Stonebridge estate. The 3 members with Billy at the time, whose name was Seed, Yusuf and Mensa, would be arrested and be charged for the murder for Billy, and convicted years later, even though they didn't kill him. Rest in peace, Billy the Kid. At this point, Fredo has now had 3 friends killed from the street life, and that wouldn't be the last one. On the 4th of April 2020, Muscle Gotti was being chased by police in a car in West London at 11:20 p.m, where he would lose control and hit a tree at high speed, resulting into him dying on the scene. Fredo would end up losing another close friend. After this, Fredo would continue to drop music, but not as much, but still be making hits with songs such as Back to Basics and his Daily Duppy. A year later, Fredo would decide to make a business move and invest millions into Kick Game in 2021. This business move has done well for him, as he has shown his sales each month from Kick Game. Years would go by, and Fredo would be dropping songs, but not as much as before, and unfortunately for Fredo, he would lose another friend to the streets. Wu, who is also the brother of G. Dots, and Lil G. Dots, would be shot and killed in the early hours on July 19th in 2022. CGM would make fun of the death of Wu and would claim they did it, and as days and weeks went by, HRB would get revenge for the murder of Wu. On the 4th of September at 2 a.m., a rapper known as MLO would be shot and killed on Kensington High Street. He would be taken to hospital and be pronounced dead many hours later. Fredo and fellow HRB members would celebrate this death by posting pictures of Wu on Snapchat with a celebration emoji. At this point, Fredo would lose a lot of close friends due to the street life and would take a break from music for a while and return to the music scene with a track called I'm Back. Nothing would happen with Fredo for a while until in late 2023, he would be in Dubai and end up being arrested for having weed on him. Fredo would be locked up for more than 6 months, but would be released and free of all charges, and would come on the live the same day, saying it wasn't his fault, and he didn't know he had weed in his pocket. England let him go through with it through the airport. That is it with the story of Fredo. Please like and comment and subscribe and let me know what rappers you want me to talk about next. Thanks for watching.